Probably our ancestors were fascinated by the speed of the unconscious, and they embedded words as a form of religion, moral code, and social norms into that self perpetuating system so the tribe could involuntarily execute the code without the need for a reminder. But remember, the unconscious is unconscious and speaks no words. Its primary concern is survival, and its existence depends on velocity. For these reasons, the unconscious uses ephemeral emotions like self to position us in a safe place whenever change occurs. Words, on the other hand, belong to the conscious, what we call neocortex. Neocortex is cognitive and relatively slow, so words cannot move quickly due to their stickiness in the process. But right at that junction, our ancestors took advantage of the automated nature of the unconscious and integrated words without fully understanding the discrepancy between these two systems. So they paved the way for humanity's maturity problem today by not fully understanding the output of the unconscious and the necessity for capacity update. Let's observe how words are integrated into the unconscious so we can change the narrative together. Since the limbic and autonomic nervous system axis is the counterpart of the unconscious, the output of the unconscious is reflexive behaviors, what we call habits. The unconscious converts information into emotions whenever a change occurs in the environment, so the conscious can update its capacity, which is crucial for the human nervous system. The capacity update must be done before the sequence turns into a habit, because once it's set, the conscious won't be able to tell you why it's following that particular routine. Instead, it'll make up stories to justify that pattern. So the capacity update must be completed before the conscious makes its choice and hands the routine over to the automated unconscious. Because once it's set, there is no way to interfere until it runs its course. For this reason, the unconscious uses loosely coupled units made of emotions for everything, so it can quickly change its state. I know it's a bit tricky, but bear with me here. Instead of saying it's good, it reminds you of the good times. Instead of saying watch out, it pulls up a memory from the past attached to intense fear and stress. So it matches the present with the past to move you into action. But integrating words, on the other hand, into these loosely coupled structures exploited the system and made it rigid. Now the system hardly moves at all. Probably the intention was good at the beginning. Keywords would be the pseudo custodians to those who didn't know how to behave in complex situations. So they were structured as imperative sentences with no margin of thinking. Once you hit that intensity of emotions, words would turn into commands and tell you exactly what to do. And then you would start to telling a story based on that keyword about yourself or others. Each keyword would trigger similar narratives in minds of many with a particular order. So through enough repetition, people would follow a predictable future. More interestingly, people would acquire those patterns simply by mimicking one another. The machinery was well set, but with one big caveat. In human nervous system, emotions are the only units that they can execute the environmental selection test due to their transient nature. But by blocking emotions with thoughts, we are discarding the most accurate information gained by thousands of years of assessment and hindering the solutions to our problems. Every time we attach to a story We are fixating on a predictable future at the expense of real-time information and try to change the immutable past. We create friction in time because time works the other way around. Time welcomes the future and leaves the past behind so we can get mature by aligning ourselves with real-time information. When we are attached to a rigid story rather than transient emotions, there is no way to interfere until we reach the end of that particular story. Remember, we are constantly receiving sensory inputs from the environment to update our capacity whenever a change occurs. The unconscious aligns us with the present moment, and it doesn't care if the present comes from a story or reality. Let me demonstrate it for you. Suppose you call up a memory attached to a quite dramatic storyline from your past when you were a little innocent child who was clueless about life. So it doesn't matter how old you are now. Due to the parallel structure of the story, the unconscious grants your wishes and aligns your capacity with that little child who still needs the presence of the domineering caretaker. And then you start to play out the familiar attached to that sequence. But no good comes from playing in the immutable past. You get disconnected from your environment. Stay with us if you want to explore how well you're operating. See you in the next video.